This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com. And of course, the big combat sports news of the weekend was the Jake Paul versus Anderson Silva boxing match, which Jake Paul won. And yes, a lot of people are saying Anderson Silva is washed up, blah, blah, blah. It's still Anderson Silva, one of the greatest fighters of all time, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinion. And he did knock out Tito Ortiz, I believe, in the second round not too long ago. So Jake Paul being able to hang in there and get the decision is impressive. But what I was most interested in is the pay. So I did look it up, and according to DraftKings Nation and some other websites, it also said the same thing. Jake Paul was getting $1.5 million guaranteed, plus 65% of the total pay-per-view buys. Anderson Silva was getting $500,000 guaranteed, plus 35% of the pay-per-view buys. Of course, Jake Paul is more famous now. He's the bigger draw. But the estimates of what the pay-per-view was going to get in buys is between 480,000 to 1.5 million total buys. The pay-per-view cost $59.99. So even if it only had 480,000, the lower end of the estimated pay-per-view buys, that would make $28,795,200. So if that was the case, Anderson Silva's cut of the gate would be 10 million, or cut of the pay-per-view would be 10,078,320 plus his 500,000. So even at the lowest amount, he would have made $10,578,320. Whereas Jake Paul, at 65% of the pay-per-view purse, would have had a $18,716,880 bonus above his $1.5 million, which would put his pay to a total of $20,216,880. But likely the pay-per-view got more than the lowest estimate. So I wouldn't call Anderson Silva washed up if he's making over $10 million for a boxing fight. I would say you're washed up if you're fighting for a few $1,000s or so. And also Anderson Silva is fighting one of the most famous people in the world right now, Jake Paul. Call him a YouTuber all he wants. WWE, for their last Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, had around 10,000 buys. To put that into perspective, where the lowest this was predicted was like 480,000. So his popularity is massive. So this is probably the most Anderson Silva is ever going to make for a fight. So I wouldn't consider him washed up at all. Would Triple H sign Jake Paul? He's making a lot more boxing than the WWE could pay him, and he would have the risk of getting injured doing WWE. So I don't know. I know there's talk of Logan Paul boxing again too, but time will tell, because you can't like overload yourself. You can't box and wrestle. It's going to take away from your boxing training, and you're going to get injuries from wrestling. Wrestling, even though it's predetermined, you're taking bumps. You can twist an ankle. You can get your neck wrenched. You get aches and pains. So, like, if you're fighting and making over $20 million and you're in your prime years right now, I would save wrestling until after your prime years, because it'll still be there. And it'll still be starving for stars by then. But anyways, have a good afternoon. I'll come back later tonight with a daily news update.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this